Hello everybody, it's Sarah, and today I have another review for you, and that review is Gods of Jade and Shadow by Silvia Moreno Garcia. This review is going to be spoiler free, and I'm actually filming it quite a bit earlier than I intend to upload this video because I want to film it while the book is still fresh on my mind. However, this is the first buddy read that we have in my book club of Queens, Witches and Valkyries, in which we read one adult high fantasy per month that's written by a woman, and I want to upload this review at a time when most members of the book club or most of the people who want to read this book will hopefully have already finished this book. So right now, as you're watching this, it's probably at the end of September, like beginning of October. While I am filming this, it's still the beginning of September. This was our first pick, and funnily enough, it's not a high fantasy, and I did say in my announcement video that I'm not going to take the high part of the high fantasy too seriously, and this is a retelling, kind of. It's a Mayan myth-inspired urban historical fantasy, and we follow Cassiopeia, who lives in the 20s in Mexico, and one day she opens this little box her grandfather has, and she accidentally frees the Mayan god of death. Because of that, she is bound to him, and she has to help him reclaim his throne. And that's where the story goes from there. They travel all throughout Mexico and like go through things, basically. I love this book. It was a 5-star read for me. I can't imagine giving it any less. It was so beautiful. First, let's start with the one negative thing that I have, and that is that while Silvia Moreno Garcia's writing is incredibly beautiful, I cannot tell you how beautiful her writing is, there were like one or two places at the very beginning where it did feel a bit forced, like she still had to kind of get into the writing style and it felt a little bit clunky. However, that was like in the first 2 or 3 chapters, and after that she definitely got into the groove, she got into it, and after that there's like no spots like that anymore anywhere in the book. So that's the one negative thing that I have to say about this book. Otherwise, I gotta be honest, the only reason why you wouldn't like this book is if this book wasn't for you. There was pretty much nothing negative that I could find about this book. This book is written exactly like I want my retellings and fairy tales to be written. I have talked about that in a recent review I did of Orpheia by Joanna M. Harris, which I will leave linked up there and down below. And basically what I said is that for me, in a modern fairy tale, in an old fairy tale, in a retelling, much more important than it being written like according to modern YA or adult high fantasy or whatever standards, it's much more important to me to find the essence of what the particular myth is that something is based on, or to find the essence of what a fairy tale is. And myths and fairy tales, they aren't as complicated as a lot of modern stories are now. Quite often they have quite a clear plot thread going along that's sometimes riddled with conveniences of things happening because that's what happens in fairy tales. And that's what I loved about this book as well, because Cassiopeia and Hunkame, who is the god of death, they go on this journey. And they have to fulfill certain things, they have to do certain things, they have to gather certain things. And especially at the beginning, for them, it's really easy to do the things they have to do because it's a fairy tale, and it just gets progressively harder to like succeed for them. And what I loved as well is that Silvia Moreno Garcia is very aware of what stories are and what fairy tales are and what myths are, and she kind of weaves that into the story itself, where she talks about the importance of Cassiopeia to the story because she is a maiden, and the maiden stereotypically has a very important role a lot of times in fairy tales, in myth, and so on. And I just absolutely love that. I also get why it won't be for some people because of that, but what I don't get is if those people then say this is a bad book because of that, because obviously it's exactly what it intends to be. It's a fairy tale, it's a myth, it's a legend, and that's just beautiful, and there's nothing else that needs to be inside of that. Like, does that kind of make sense? I feel like this is less a review and more of a gush. Then the other thing I still need to gush about is the characters. First of all, I loved Cassiopeia. I loved that she wasn't timid at the beginning, but you still had a sense of development throughout the journey that she went through. You still had a sense that while even at the beginning she knew what she wanted from life, it still felt like she was coming more into her own, like the more the story progressed. Same with Hunkame. I absolutely loved that he is a god at the beginning. And he's very alien. He isn't human, and that's on purpose. But because of things, and that's not a spoiler because it's mentioned at the very beginning of the book, he becomes progressively more human. And the way that was written was just perfect and beautiful, and oh my god, I loved it so much. And then also, through him becoming more human, his relationship with Cassiopeia changed and like became more equal, more on equal terms, and I thought that was so well done as well. I loved the ending. Of course, I'm not going to say anything, I won't spoil anything, but I loved that Silvia Moreno Garcia ended the book the way she ended it, and I think she found the perfect way to end the book. And this is probably one of my absolutely favorite endings that I have read so far this year, if ever. It's one of my favorite relationships that I have read so far this year, if ever. And yeah, I'm just gushing about this. I'm kind of losing my ability, it seems, to review books because I only keep on reviewing books that I absolutely loved. So yeah. That's it for this review. If you have read Gods of Jade and Shadow, tell me in the comments down below what you thought of it, and if you loved it as much as I did. Also, all the links to my social media are in the description box down below, so go and check those out as well. Also, again, all the links to my book club of Queens, Witches and Valkyries will be linked down below in the description box, so go and check those out as well. By now, either we have already started the October book or the October book has already been announced. However, as of me filming right now, I don't know which book that is. So yeah, but on Twitter you'll probably find all the info. And with that said, I hope I'll see you soon. If you enjoyed this video, maybe think about giving me a thumbs up and also maybe subscribing. And I hope I'll see you soon. I think I already said that. Bye!